Morning. This is Minister Peaceful Poet. The name of this video will be I'm a Veteran. Um, I recently learned that you can help homeless veterans through the VA portal. And I thought, well, I could provide instructions uh, for that. It's kind of important. And then I thought, well, there's a lot of things I would like to talk about. Now, there's a video I created long ago called Male Tears. It's like, I don't know, probably about 8 years ago, but if you can find it. So I'm going to talk about some of the same things I mentioned in that video, but I'm just maybe go a little bit further, go a little bit deeper. Some of you, I'm an old man now. It's kind of weird. It's hard to believe. One day, you too will be an old man, and you'll wonder how the hell did I get here? But some of you who are a lot younger than me, you might wonder, why do we want to help a veteran? And I would have to agree. I would have to agree with you because everybody loves the veterans. The veterans can get anything they want. All they got to do is say, "I'm a veteran," and everybody loves them and they get whatever they want. Um, and I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think I could have survived in this world or done as well as I have if I hadn't been a veteran. When I go to apply for a job, uh, I tell them I'm a veteran and I get hiring preferences. It's true. And if you ever get in trouble for anything, they kind of give you a break or look the other way, whereas somewhere else might just get fired right away. So yeah, it does help to be a veteran, and it has helped me. It allowed me to survive in this world. When I joined the Navy, it was back in 1977. Originally, I tried to join the Army, and I was disqualified. I wasn't allowed to join. Um, and then looking for a job, I uh, I answered an ad, and turned out it was a recruiter for the Navy. And the Navy recruiter promised me that if he could get me in, would I join? And I said, okay, I will. So I kept my promise. He made arrangements. He got me in, and I said yes. And away I went. But it was a little bit more than that. I mean, that was the reason. That was all behind it. I mean, that was the reason I joined. I needed a job. But I did originally try to join the Army. There was a sense of guilt when I was growing up. Um, the draft was going on, and I would have been drafted if the war hadn't ended. And so, for some strange reason, there's a sense of guilt that I wasn't forced to go, and I was ready to. I was ready to. Like I explained in one of my posts once, me and my buddies, when I was younger, we um, we agreed that we would only kill somebody in self-defense, uh, and that would be the only way we'd do it. But we really didn't know what we would do because let's be honest, you really don't know what you'll do. Um, Anyways, getting back to um, the things I wanted to talk about. Um, when I joined the Navy in 1977, they didn't like veterans and they didn't like soldiers. We were probably the most hated people on the earth. I mean, even the police didn't like us. It was that bad. Um, you'd walk down the street, somebody would throw a bottle at you. And back then, bottles weren't made out of plastic, they were made out of glass. They would throw things at you, call your name, spit at you. Everywhere you go, somebody pick a fight with you. I remember going, I was at a disco once, and, I'm just having a good old time with this gal. We're just dancing all night long. And then she asks me what I do for a living. And she said, and I says, I'm in the Navy. And she says, oh, you're in the Navy. I thought you were Canadian. And then boom, she was gone. I don't know why she thought I was Canadian. That's kind of goofy. Back then, it used to be that when you went out on liberty, they called it. That's when you kind of free to do what you want to do. You had to wear your uniform. But they made a change in that rule. I wish I could get rid of this reflection in the back there. I can't stand it. They made a change to that rule. They required you to wear civilian clothes if you went out on liberty, so that nobody would know that you were in the military, because people would pick fights with you everywhere you went to, and some people got hurt pretty bad. So that was why they made that rule. When I went on my first cruise, mid cruise, back in 77, 78, yeah, I believe it was 78. Um, we went to all over Europe, and that's why they call it Med Cruise, Mediterranean. People over there loved us. They just loved us, and we would come home and people would treat us like dirt. It was really strange. You get treated better in other countries than you did in your own home port. Yeah, there was in one of the ships I was on, there was a church at the end of the pier, and I remember attending that church once, and they said well, the minister preached this wonderful sermon about how all sailors were devil worshippers. Sailor, literally, all sailors were devil worshippers. Even my own father said that the only reason people join the military is because they're losers. They because they're unable to find a job in the civilian world. And I'll be honest with you, it certainly did help me, but that wasn't the reason I joined. And I don't consider myself a loser. I have brain damage. It may be slight. I don't know. It could get worse. I keep having these dreams about how I get lost all the time. And I think that that's a warning that it's going to get worse. But, anyways, um, we weren't always loved. So understand that we weren't always loved. But this is the thing that I really want to talk to you about. And that is about how we're all brainwashed. Seriously, we are all brainwashed. And when you wake up and you realize that, well, then of course you're not brainwashed anymore. And when you do, you'll be all alone. Um, and I don't know. This is what I was going to talk about. I don't know what this has to do with veterans. Oh yeah, yeah. So why did everybody hate us back then? Is because everybody was told to hate us. And why does everybody love us now? Because everybody is told to love us. And who tells us these things? Well, whatever electronic device you choose to use, whether it be radio, TV, computer, or cell phone, that device will teach will it's brainwashing you. That device tells you what to believe, what to think, how to feel, who to hate and who to love. It just you just turn it on and it just implants those those opinions and beliefs and ideas are planted in your head. You think you're making up your own mind, but it's coming from these devices. And it's probably worse now than it was back in the 70s when everybody hated us back then. The only choice you really make is you decide whether you are going to be right or you're going to be left. And if you decide that you're right, then everybody on the left is a communist and they should be burnt to the stake and uh, killed and whatever. Terrible, horrible, awful people. I heard a person on a pundit on the radio once, uh, after listening to this liberal speak, say, "Oh, she sounds like a nice person, but she's a communist. She'll cut your throat in a heartbeat." I'm like, "How can you say that? That's a terrible thing to say." But that's how it is. If you're on the right side, everybody who's on the left side is a communist, and they're to be hated and loathed, and they're stupid people, and et cetera, et cetera. And if you decide that you're on the left side, well, then everybody on the right is a homophobe, uh, prejudiced, racist. What's the word I'm thinking of? A Nazi. Everybody's a Nazi. Everybody on the right is a Nazi, and they should be burned to the stake, shot, killed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It really is. And so a lot of people today um, love veterans, not because they really love veterans, but because they're told to. And a lot of people hated us veterans because they were told to. Everybody follows the crowd, except a few who are becoming more and more. There's more and more of us, but it's still a lonely place. Still is a lonely place, but is becoming more and more of us. People are waking up. We are beginning to realize that we've just been pitted against each other. All this stuff is just made up. Lots of stuff is just made up. They don't really, deception isn't really a lie. It's at mixing the truth with a lie. That's what they do. They mix the truth with the lie, and that's the most deceptive thing in the world because you hear the truth and then bang, and then all of a sudden everything they say is the truth. You hear a lie, bing, everything they say is a lie. And that's how they play it. And so that's how you decide which side you're going to be on. It all depends on whether or not you hear the lie first or the truth first, you know? And then they just, it isn't, it's almost a lie, almost a lie, the way they mix the truths with the lies. And they pit us against each other. And while we're fighting with one another, the people on top are getting away with murder, literally. That's the Epstein class. An Epstein class, if you look into it, you'll find they're Democrats and Republicans. They're conservatives and liberals. They're the same people. Some refer to as the Uniparty. And so if you're on one side or the other, you're on the wrong side because there's only one side to be on, and that's our side. That's our side. When you're on our side, when everybody's on our side, we will win. And I think that's coming. I think it's going to come a lot faster than people realize. So, anyways, I guess that was what I was going to explain to you. Uh, I thought this was going to be a lot more. I thought this was going to be a lot longer, but I guess there was a lot of other things that I was going to talk to you about, but I can't think of what they were right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and end it right now. I'm going to go ahead and give you the instructions. If you're a veteran and you have access to the Veterans Portal, you'll go online, va.gov, and you will check your appointments. How many times have you done that, right? Can't remember quite when your appointment is, so you just need to go on there and you check your appointments. And when you check your appointments, there'll be a link that says the location. Of course, you probably already know the location, so you don't need to, right? But click on it, and it'll show you the place that you're supposed to go. And on that page, you'll find another link that says volunteer or donate. And if you click on that link, you can choose volunteer. And if you choose volunteer, yeah, you have to have a physical and a psych exam, which yeah, that makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. But so you might not want to go that direction. And then the other link is donate, and there you can donate. And when you donate, then you choose, there'll be a drop-down box where you choose what the donation for, and one of the selections is homeless veterans. So there you go. That's how you do it. And I found that, and I'm like, well, that's pretty awesome. Because I've always wanted to donate to the VA because I've heard that they were pretty bad at one time, and luckily I wasn't a part of the VA at that time. But now apparently somebody's fixed all of that, and they're really very good to us. They really are the most wonderful people in the world. They smile for you. They don't have to. I'm sure they work very hard, and their job is very tedious, and they don't have to smile, but they do, and they're very respectful. And it's not for profit, so you're getting the right medical care. At least nobody's really getting the right medical care anywhere, but closer to it, closer to it. And so I've always wanted to donate to the VA. uh, because they are so good. And it's like giving a tip to a restaurant, right? Food's delicious, so you want to tip them. Same thing. So now I find out that, hey, look, I can give to homeless veterans. Um, and I think if we're a veteran and we can, we should. We should all stick together. Yeah, this is another thing I was going to talk about. When I was in the Navy in 1977, a lot of it, because they hated us so bad, a lot of the soldiers from Vietnam couldn't survive out there in the civilian world. It was too rough for them. They couldn't find a job or they couldn't keep a job because everybody hated them. And it just, I mean, it's not so much being hated that is difficult. It's when you need love, but instead you get hate. That's the most difficult part. I mean, you just didn't need that on top of all the horrors that you've been through, on the battlefield. You didn't need to be hated. You didn't need that. That didn't help. That made things much worse. So a lot of them joined the Navy because, well, they knew they wouldn't go back to the battlefield. They certainly didn't want to go back there. But that got them back in to a place where they were appreciated. And so a lot of them, I served with a lot of them. I would say that the first crew, when I was in First Division, I would say probably a good 2 quarters, maybe a quarter to 2 quarters, were Vietnam vets, guys who'd been out there in the battlefield and they just couldn't survive out there in the civilian world, so they joined the Navy. There were a bunch of them. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe 1/3, maybe 1/4, maybe 1/4. Yeah, that's probably more right, 1/4, because there was just a small handful. It was just a small handful, but they were rough. They were rough, and I remember Crazy George. He was in Special Forces during. He was one mean son of a gun. He was mean, but for some reason he liked me, and so nobody would ever mess with me. Nobody would even think about hurting me because he'd kill him. I don't know why that happened, but it did. He was the captain was scared of him because on the previous uh, cruise, he attacked the captain in his captain's quarters. Uh, he beat holes in the captain's quarters door with a chipping hammer. And of course, everybody knew who did it, and nobody did anything because everybody was scared. Like, he was crazy. But anyways, there were a lot of them like that, and and anyways, I got to know them, and knowing them, I got to know what what I got through their eyes. I got to know what war was like, and it was in they weren't. It was in them. It was in them. Most of them had really bad tempers, and you just understood. You just understood why. It just made sense. But anyway, so I want to talk to you about that. Now that's not so anymore. I mean, the ones coming back home, I don't want to see that us to ever go back to that again. Don't ever want to see them go back to hating. Um, though the love is just like a little over the top, but the hate was that's America. We're like extremists, one end to the other. You hate something or you love something. You don't like anything. You just hate it or love it. That's just the way we are in America. It's funny. It's not like that in Europe. But anyways, I digress. Talking about other things. Now, if you're not a vet and you want to help out the homeless veterans, I say that us vets we should take care of this. This is our job. If you have, if you can contribute, you should. You should. Vets should help out vets. So we should take care of this. But if you're not a vet and you want to help out, I had it here. Oh, I lost it. I'll put the link. There's an organization that you can help out. I'll put the link in my I had it here, but I just remembered I had to reboot my computer. But I'll put the link in my in the comments if you want to help out. You're not civilian, a real good place. National, I think it's called the National of Homeless Veterans, something like that. Anyways, I'll put it in the link. I will put it in the link, and you can donate that way if you're not a veteran. Anyways, I guess that's all I wanted to talk about. Just wanted to. I'm a veteran, and I shouldn't have been a veteran. I should have never been able to join the military, but I did. I was in for 14 years. I joined in 1977. I got out after Desert Storm. They offered early retirement, and I took early retirement. Uh, it wasn't enough to actually retire on. I had to work, but it helped anyways. Um, Anyways, I guess that's about it. Love and peace.